Hi, this is Calandra. In this video, we will discuss simplifying rational expressions. A rational expression is one that can be written as a quotient of polynomials. To simplify rational expressions, you must follow the rules of fractions. And in this illustration, this will give you a reminder of how you can simplify fractions. If you have the product in the numerator and denominator, then if you have a common factor, it is okay to cancel out your common factor and simplify this into b divided by c. However, if you have an addition or a subtraction in the top and bottom, you cannot cancel the a's out. This cannot be simplified. And let's look at this with numbers. So let's say that we had a 2 plus 3 divided by 2 plus 5. Okay, well we know that the answer in the top is 5 and the bottom is 7. And 5/7 cannot be simplified. However, if you tried to cancel out the 2's, just because they're the same on the top and bottom, notice you would be left with 3/5, which is not the same as 5/7. So this is a reminder that the only time you can simplify fractions is if you have a product in the top and bottom, and then you can cancel out the common factors. Keeping that in mind, let's simplify the following rational expressions. So in the first one, before we can do anything, we need to factor both the top and the bottom. So I notice in the top that 2 is my greatest common factor. So if I factor out a 2, I'm left with a v squared minus 49. Okay, in the bottom, I have a trinomial with the leading coefficient of 1. So that means I'm looking at the number on the end, my -7, and I need two numbers that will multiply to give me -7, but will add up to be 6. And the numbers that will work would be a +7 and a -1. So the bottom then will factor into x plus 7 times x minus 1. Okay, well now I can factor my numerator. I have something that's the difference of 2 squares. 49 is the same as 7 squared, so the top will factor into v minus 7 times v plus 7. Okay, all divided by, and then we have, oops, and I changed my variables, so let me put v's back in instead of those x's in the previous step. So we had a v plus 7 times a v minus 1. So if you remember our illustration above, now that we have this changed to multiplication, we can cancel out common factors. So our final answer will be 2 times v minus 7, all divided by v minus 1. Okay, and there's nothing else we can do. Okay, let's look at example B. Now it may be tempting to try to cancel out something because the top and bottom look very similar, but they are not the same. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to rewrite my numerator. I'm going to rewrite my -x first, and then I have plus 9. I'm going to leave my denominator the same. Well, we still can't cancel anything because we don't have a product in the top and bottom. And the only way that they differ is by a sign. So what I'm going to do is factor out a -1 in my numerator. If I factor out a negative, that means all of my signs are going to change. You can think of it as asking yourself, What do I need to multiply negative 1 by to give me negative x? Well, that's x. What do I need to multiply negative 1 by to give me positive 9? That would be negative 9. In the denominator, I still have my x minus 9. So now my x minus 9s can be canceled out since we have a product, leaving us with our answer of negative 1. So that rational expression simplified to just equal negative 1. Okay, on to our last example. Again, we need to factor the numerator and the denominator before we can simplify. So in the numerator, I'm looking for, since my leading coefficient is 1, two numbers that will multiply to give me negative 6, but that will add up to be my middle coefficient, which is 1. So 3 and negative 2 will work. So in my numerator, this will factor into w plus 3 times w minus 2. In the denominator, I have a common factor of 3. So if I factor out 3, I'm left with 4 minus w squared. Okay, well in the bottom, that's actually a difference of 2 squares, since 4 is the same as 4 squared. So we can factor the denominator. Okay, I'm going to leave the top the same. The bottom will factor into, we keep the 3, 2 minus w times 2 plus w. Okay, well notice we still can't cancel yet. This is similar to what we saw in part B. We have a w minus 2 and a 2 minus w. So in the bottom, if I want to switch that order, okay, let's leave the top the same. Since I know that 2 minus w is the same thing as negative w plus 2, we can factor out a negative, which would leave us with w minus 2. So that quantity in the bottom, the 2 minus w, is the same thing as a negative, which we can put on the outside for clarity. And now we have just w minus 2. And then we can still keep our 2 plus w. So now we can cancel the w minus 2's, and we're left with a w plus 3 divided by a negative 3 times 2 plus w. And it's okay to leave your answer that way. If you wanted to, you could rewrite what's in parentheses in your denominator as w plus 2, but this would be fine.